For most of human history, darkness was a death sentence, not an inconvenience, not an obstacle, a genuine, life-ending threat waiting just beyond the edge of firelight. Today, you can step outside at midnight and flip on a phone screen brighter than a torch. Prehistoric humans had none of that. When the sun dropped below the horizon, the world became something almost unimaginable to modern people. Massive predators moved through total blackness. Rival groups hunted the same territories. Temperatures could drop fast enough to kill. The night was not a time for sleeping peacefully under the stars. It was the most dangerous 12 hours of every single day, and for millions of years, surviving those hours shaped almost everything about how humans think, move, and feel. The first thing you have to understand is just how many predators shared the landscape. Around 100,000 years ago, early humans in Africa and Eurasia lived alongside creatures that make modern predators look almost gentle. Cave lions were roughly 25% larger than the biggest lions alive today. They hunted in coordinated groups. Their vision in low light was dramatically better than any humans. Spotted hyenas, which many people underestimate, lived in clans of 80 or more and could crack bones that no human jaw could touch. Leopards were particularly dangerous because they were silent, patient, and comfortable climbing trees, which meant even elevated sleeping positions offered limited safety. And in parts of Asia and the Americas, saber-toothed cats were still hunting large prey well into the late Pleistocene. What made these predators even more formidable was their ability to hunt collaboratively in darkness. Lions didn't just hunt solo, they coordinated stalks with precision, driving prey toward waiting packmates. Hyena clans used the cover of night to stage organized hunts, communicating across distances with vocalizations that echoed across the savannah. This wasn't random predation. This was intelligent, tactical hunting that improved with darkness rather than suffering from it. Early human groups would have understood this through bitter experience. A solitary human wandering away from the group at night wasn't brave. They were already dead. The darkness itself was the real equalizer. Human eyes are genuinely terrible at night compared to most predators. Modern humans have about 6 million cone cells handling daytime color vision, but only around 120 million rod cells for low light detection. Sounds like a lot. It isn't. A cat has a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum. Humans have nothing equivalent. A hyena navigating a dark savanna at midnight sees dramatically more detail than any human standing in the same spot. Early humans would have known this through pure experience. You didn't see the predator saw you. That asymmetry made nighttime movement extraordinarily risky. Fire changed everything, but not immediately. The earliest solid evidence for controlled fire use goes back roughly 400,000 years at sites like Kizim Cave in Israel and Beech's Pit in England. Some researchers argue earlier, possibly 1 million years ago, but consistent, reliable firemaking took time to spread and refine. Before fire became dependable, early humans faced the dark with almost nothing, and even once fire was established at campsites, it created its own problems. Fire is loud in the dark. It announces exactly where you are. To every predator within miles, a burning camp was a visible landmark. You were warm and slightly safer from animals that feared flame. You were also completely visible to every rival group within line of sight. And here's the important part. The predators weren't the only danger. Other humans were. The archaeological record from sites across Europe, Africa, and Asia shows consistent evidence of interpersonal violence going back hundreds of thousands of years. Cranial fractures, embedded projectile points, cut marks on bones that didn't come from butchering animals. Early human groups competed intensely for the same resources, the same territory, the same sheltered sleeping locations. Caves were especially contested. A good cave offered protection from wind, rain, and some predators, which meant multiple groups wanted the same caves. Night raids were likely common. Moving at night gave attackers a real tactical advantage against groups sleeping near fires that blinded their own vision outward into the darkness. Cold was another constant threat. During the peak of the last ice age, around 20,000 years ago, average temperatures in Europe were 10 to 15 degrees Celsius colder than today. Hypothermia sets in when core body temperature drops below 35 degrees Celsius. It happens faster than most people realize. Wet conditions accelerate it dramatically. Early humans without adequate shelter or fire faced genuine risk of dying overnight from cold alone, not from predation, not from violence, just from the temperature dropping while they slept. Infants and elderly individuals were especially vulnerable. A fire that went out in the middle of the night during a cold snap could mean death before morning. Sleep itself was structured differently. Modern research on contemporary hunter-gatherer groups like the Hadza of Tanzania suggests prehistoric humans likely didn't sleep in one long, uninterrupted block. They slept in multiple shorter phases, woke periodically, checked the fire, listened for sounds, then slept again. This pattern is called biphasic or polyphasic sleep. It may be the original human sleep schedule, shaped by millions of years of needing to monitor for threats throughout the night. One person staying partially alert, while others slept deeply, probably increased group survival rates significantly. Rotating watch duties may not have been a military invention. It may have been something ancient bands of humans discovered through raw necessity. The cognitive load of maintaining this vigilance every single night, year after year, likely created stronger social bonds and sharper communication networks within groups. Insects added another layer of danger that often gets overlooked. Malaria is caused by a parasite transmitted through mosquito bites. Mosquitoes are most active at night. In ancient Africa, malaria was almost certainly widespread, and it killed in enormous numbers. Sleeping without shelter, without smoke to deter insects, without any protection against bites meant constant exposure. Researchers studying ancient DNA have found malaria-related genetic adaptations in human populations going back tens of thousands of years. The sickle cell trait, which provides partial resistance to malaria, shows up in populations with long histories of exposure. That's evolution responding to nighttime insect pressure over generations. Sound was the primary warning system. Humans who survived prehistoric nights developed extraordinary sensitivity to auditory cues: a snapping branch, a shift in wind, the sudden silence of insects when something large moved nearby. Cave paintings from sites like Lascaux and Chauvet frequently depict the animals that pose the greatest nighttime threat. Cave lions appear repeatedly, aurochs, woolly rhinos. These weren't just art. Many researchers believe these images were tied to knowledge transmission, helping younger members of the group learn which animals to fear, which sounds to recognize, which shapes moving through darkness meant run immediately. Snakes contributed a specific kind of danger. Many of the most venomous snake species are nocturnal hunters: gaboon vipers, puff adders, boomslang in Africa, Russell's viper across Asia. Moving through grass or brush after dark without footwear, without light, over rocky ground near water sources where snakes gathered, was genuinely deadly. Some evolutionary biologists argue that the human visual system actually evolved partly in response to snake detection. The primate brain processes snake-shaped images faster than almost any other visual input. That reaction is ancient. It may have started because early primates needed to spot coiled predators in the moment between daylight and dusk, when snakes were most active and visibility was already dropping. Falling was also a real threat. This sounds almost mundane compared to saber-toothed cats, but prehistoric terrain was not a flat managed landscape. Limestone karst formations, steep river valleys, volcanic rock fields, dense forest with uneven ground. Moving through any of this in genuine darkness without artificial light was treacherous. A twisted ankle was potentially a slow death sentence. A fall from a ledge, immediate. Archaeological remains from some prehistoric sites show healed fractures at rates that suggest falls were common. Some didn't heal, which means they were fatal. Daytime movement allowed visual assessment of terrain. Night movement stripped that entirely. Staying still after dark wasn't timidity, it was sound strategy. The accumulated evidence paints a very specific picture of what prehistoric night meant. Groups huddled near fires that announced their position. Predators with far superior night vision moving just outside the light. Cold, insects, rival humans, and treacherous terrain combining into a constant, patient threat. Surviving those hours required cooperation, fire management, situational awareness, and a level of collective vigilance that shaped human social behavior in ways still visible today. The deep human discomfort with darkness, the instinctive preference for enclosed sleeping spaces, the involuntary startle response to sounds during sleep. These aren't random quirks. They are survival software, written into human neurology over millions of years of dangerous nights. Long after cave lions went extinct and rival bands stopped raiding sleeping camps, the fear of the dark stayed.